understand a few of the issues as viewed by the honourable members on the other side. And I'd like to thank all members, even though we are not on the same page, we are not in agreement. I'd like to thank all members for having participated. We may differ in our views, but I believe that it was important for us to have this debate. Why was it so important? It's precisely one has to be able to understand what is indeed the role, as I started out by explaining, of the Attorney General. How does he reconcile his position as a party politician, a party man, as opposed to that of an independent advisor? To come back to the documents that were put in by the Honourable Attorney General, yes, I have seen the letter referred to the 23rd of October 2013, which is indeed a computation made. And here in this particular letter from the Secretary to Cabinet, signed for the Secretary to Cabinet, sent to the Commissioner of Police, indeed there is a letter where the Secretary to Cabinet informs the Commissioner of Police that an offer can be made. Ex gratia is the title. And I need not explain to lawyers and also non-lawyers what ex gratia means. Ex gratia means it's without any admission of liability whatsoever. And then I also read the letter of the then Commissioner of Police addressed to the former Commissioner of Police, as though a little nice club between ex-commissioners of police, that this is an ex gratia payment of 5,723,769.68, which is being made to you. Ex gratia, without any admission of liability. I'm also reading here the computation made by the Attorney General. Unfortunately, we were not made privy of the letter of the Solicitor General. I believe this is the document that the Honourable Attorney General has decided not to table. Unfortunate, because I agree with Honourable Béranger that there is the need for us to look at all the elements. But what I have noted is the following. I have heard nothing on the part of the Honourable Attorney General in his files that he's gone through about the role of his office or the Attorney General at the time in this whole issue about advising to go forward for an agreement with the former Commissioner of Police. Had the former Attorney General agreed to it, had there been anything in the file where the former Attorney General of the day had approved it, had advised government to do it, I am sure and certain that the actual Attorney General would have stated it in his address, which he didn't. So it is therefore fair for me to say that at no time did the former Attorney General at all approve of any such potential agreement. Neither did he advise government to sign such an agreement. I have also not heard anything with regards to Cabinet, as we've said, and we say it again, at no time did Cabinet approve such a thing. But what is interesting here is the offer that was made was of 5 million rupees ex gratia. But what the actual Attorney General does not say is how is it that an offer that was made, two issues, an offer that was made for 5 million or so, all of a sudden, in order to settle the matter, it's multiplied by 3. It is multiplied by 3, and this is what his justification. He justifies it by saying this was what was calculated in 2013. But the issue is the following. I've heard Honorable Senator Abu state in his speech that the issue of the offer that was made, they had no other choice. I've heard Honorable Gayan also say the offer was made, there was no other choice. I've heard the Honorable Attorney General say that his hands were tied. He had no choice. I heard Honorable Gayan go as far as to say that it is the fault of the former government, the Labour government. That is why Honorable Dayal finally is obtaining 15 million. So what they are saying is that it's not them. They are not to blame for Honorable Dayal obtaining 15 million rupees. What they're saying, in fact, is not the Honorable Attorney General, actual Honorable Attorney General, who is got nothing to do. He had no choice. But it is the former government that is to blame for him obtaining 15 million rupees, or to be thanked by, we should be thanked, in other words, by Mr. Raj Dayal for obtaining 15 million rupees. Now, if this is one way of avoiding responsibility and hiding and not refusing to take responsibility, I haven't seen a better one. Today, what this government is telling us is, oh no, we had no other choice. Honorable Gayan put it so clearly. It is the former government's fault, and that is why they had no other choice than to give their friend, their party member, 15 million rupees. Okay. So, I fail to understand when it suits them, this time, once again, they throw the responsibility on the shoulders of the former government. And worse, and to see the mechanism that they love to adopt. It's what? It's not us. There was manipulation somewhere. So what we are made to understand somehow, once again, that the former government's prime minister of the day was so good as to be able to influence wrongly and manipulate 3 judges of the tribunal. Raj Dayal QC, former Chief Justice, the actual Chief Justice Matadin, and Judge Lam Shanglin. So what we're hearing here is that the former Prime Minister somehow, somewhere, was so good as to manipulate and influence the end result of that tribunal. So what I am to understand here is, once again, it's not them, it's nothing to do with them, and we have here to blame once again the former Prime Minister. And what I also understand when I read something else, which Honorable Ratna seems to have forgotten already, I haven't forgotten about you, difficult, is when he refers to the judgment of Madame Bisundoyal, magistrate then, and Magistrate Kamsin, 2007 of the Intermediate Court. He forgets to read a very important paragraph, but was so happy of blaming the former Prime Minister. Why? Because it's easy. It's become tradition. Let's blame the former Prime Minister. And I read the judgment. On ground 9, we would abstain from making any comment regarding the alleged mindset of the minister responsible for the police, who brought before Parliament a bill amending the Constitution so that the office of the Commissioner of Police becomes vacant. No ulterior motive can be attached to the decision of the Prime Minister to introduce laws for the good government of the country, especially when provision is made to prevent the country being left without a commissioner of police. And the holder of the office has been criticized in a report following a commission of inquiry presided by a judge of the Supreme Court. Even if the Prime Minister, who is also responsible for the police, did not want accused number one to remain in office by introducing the said bill, we still find that there is no evidence that the Prime Minister interfered in any way whatsoever in the police inquiry. The Prime Minister proceeded by legal means. This is the judgment of that judgment of the Intermediate Court. So it's so easy here as politicians for us to hear the condescending messages from Honorable Gayan or the condescending approach from Honorable Senator Ambou, telling us that I was wrong, I'm always wrong, and they're always right. But they say they will not do that, but they do exactly that. The condescending attitude, as though telling us that they are in a fatherly figure giving advice, but at the same time pretending that they are holier than thou attitude is amazing. But what they fail to say is how come the magistrates of the Intermediate Court found nothing wrong. There is no evidence of wrongful interference in the police inquiry by the former Prime Minister. This is not me saying it, this is a judgment of a court saying it. Two magistrates who have no interest of their own to protect and who are totally apolitic. Then, at no time, therefore, was the question let's put, was Honorable Dayal ever prosecuted for asking any money from people? That's why I wanted to understand. And that's the background that I was referring to for the Honorable Attorney General. The background of this case. He says, the Honorable Gayan says it was not the responsibility of the Honorable Attorney General to refer to what happened at the Commission of Inquiry. That background was not the responsibility of the Honorable Attorney General. It has nothing to do with him. Fair enough. I don't agree with Honorable Gayan. But what is amazing is the following. How is it, therefore, that the background where you have Honorable Gayan trying to explain to us the value of and the Honorable Minister Mentor also say the value of what happened before the Commission of Inquiry, and there was no cross-examination. Honorable Ratna also at some stage said that. But let me here once again refer to page 186. It says here, the relevant notes of evidence of Messieurs Clément et Thierry Manin and Paul Akiao were communicated to the Commissioner of Police and the Quartermaster, and those witnesses were made available for questioning at a subsequent sitting. So there was the opportunity to question them. The Commission has also sent the notes of evidence to Mr. Liang Xing QC, CP's counsel, on Tuesday 19th of January 1999, informing him that the witness would be available on Friday the 22nd of January 1999 for questioning. The Commission met with a rebuff from counsel, who reportedly refused to take the notes of evidence. We again asked the CP whether he wanted to put questions to the witnesses who were present and available, but he declined. So he declined from questioning. And that is with regards to Manim. But what about Mr. Lille? Mr. Lille was then submitted to cross-examination by Mr. Liang Xing. So he had an opportunity to cross-examine. So he had an opportunity to find out whether this person was credible or not. And what is very clear is that when on the opposite side, honorable members say that there was no opportunity to test the evidence, there was no opportunity given to cross-examine, that is far from the truth. There was indeed opportunity and there was cross-examination of Mr. Lille. But what I've also found here, and this is where I am not in agreement with the Honorable Attorney General, is we will go into a legal argument and legal gymnastics with regards to this limitation period of 2 years. Honorable Ratna refers to all exceptions with regards to actions entered under the civil code. Honorable Ratna reference he makes is not relevant to limitations that are imposed by statute, specifically designed. Not relevant at all. But instead of getting into that legal gymnastic, there are two issues I'd like to refer to. Number one, did counsel and attorney of Mr. Dayal serve a notice mise en demeure in line with the Public Officers Protection Act, which is also mandatory? Forget about the statute of limitations for a minute. This is what also should have been taken into account by the Honorable Attorney General. No mise en demeure was ever served, and I'm not the one who raises this as a defense. The state attorney in the defense raised that, not only the issue of 2 years, statute of limitations, but also that no mise en demeure was served, that renders this whole thing a nullity. And these are defenses that were raised that were good defenses. We cannot say that they were weak defenses. But in actual fact, the issue, Madam Speaker, was not that the defense was good or not. It's not whether a good defense was available or not. The issue was simply, Madam, can I be allowed to go on?
Please, don't let yourself to be carried.
The issue here is that the Honorable Attorney General clearly states that he appeared for his client, Mr. Dayal, in a matter which he won. I'm not talking about him appearing as counsel for the state here. I'll get to that in a minute. He agrees, having appeared for the client, Dayal, and he won that case. At the same time, he also appears in a matter together with late Judge Bakor Ali before a tribunal. In that case, he sustains the charge and says that he fights for the state, that he is totally right by pushing forward the agenda of the state, that he should be removed from his position, and the recommendation should be that he loses his position and position as Commissioner of Police. And how is it, therefore, that today the same Attorney General is telling us that in actual fact, with the help of all his colleagues, that there is some manipulation somehow, and that the tribunal has done something that was wrong, and that the former Prime Minister somehow had an influence on the work and the findings of that tribunal? We cannot blow hot and cold continuously like that and expect them to have as though the monopoly of truth. They have been blowing hot and cold. Madam Speaker, there is one thing which I understand today. There is one thing which I totally understand. There's one thing which I totally understand, Madam Speaker. It's the following. It's that this motion that was brought forward is an opportunity for members to understand what is the truth. Because outside, people will not get lost in legal gymnastics. People only know one thing. There was a commission of inquiry, and that commission of inquiry has established a lot of things against the former Commissioner of Police. That commission of inquiry has evidence that I have read where people have said that the former Commissioner of Police has asked them money. At least there's constance. At least il est constant, il continue. Now, I have only one thing, people to say, and people outside have heard that there is money that was sought for in return for the choice of specific vehicles and motorcycles and other equipment, be it from Mr. Leal and from Mr. Manim. Clearly, those two issues are out there in the minds of the members of the public. They are asking one thing. People outside are wondering, forget about legal gymnastics. How come, number one, the Honorable Attorney General did not use this as a background before he took his decision? And how is it that he could not at least convince government that he should have allowed a court of law to decide what was right and what was wrong, and not take it upon himself to advise government, knowing that he has at one point or the other been the legal counsel of Mr. Dayal? This is what the people outside want to know. Because he, according to Honorable Gayan, should not even be concerned and clearly should not even base himself on the findings of the Commission of Inquiry. So, people out there are still waiting for an answer. They want to know, how come someone who is clearly been found through testimony, that man, dehors, Madame la Présidente, la population sait aujourd'hui que M. Éric Lille et M. Manim ont déposé, ont témoigné devant M. Bernard Siquen, juge à l'époque pour la commission d'enquête. Ils ont témoigné que l'ancien commissaire de police leur a demandé de l'argent qui était clairement a bribe, c'était la corruption. This is what they said. And what they want to know, ce qu'ils veulent savoir alors, c'est comment et le pourquoi du fait que the actual Attorney General a ignoré cela. Comment alors il a ignoré cela tout en étant clairement l'avocat de M. Dayal dans une affaire tout récemment? Comment se fait-il qu'il a oublié ces faits quand il fallait conseiller le gouvernement? Le fait est que M. Dayal a été blâmé, mais aujourd'hui on nous dit que ce n'est pas important. On nous dit que ce n'est pas important, on nous dit que ce qui s'est passé devant le tribunal qui a été institué, le tribunal constitutionnel, n'est pas important. Ce n'est pas important. Ce qui est important, c'est que le gouvernement a toujours raison. And then they go on to say that what I am talking about, ethical leadership, they turn it around and say, well, it's not the Labour government that talk about ethical leadership. So this has always been the way that this government defends itself. Instead of standing up to the occasion and saying, okay, if there is an issue, let's deal with it. No. The only difference between the time when the Honorable Minister Mentor was President of the Republic, when he was President of the Republic and he received the letter from Honorable Dayal in 2011, that was fine to just brush him aside. And the reason why that was fine, I do not know. But fact is, at the time when his letter and his plea to the President of the Republic was made in 2011, the fact is, at that time, Honorable Dayal was not member of the MSM. At that time, he was not member of Parliament. At that time, he was not holding on to a seat in number 9. I'm not saying that this was a determining factor at all, even now, but I'm saying this is a fact. That is the difference. Whereas now, when Honorable Minister Mentor stands up and says that this, what we are saying, giving as a motion, is wrong again, and he is always right, the difference is, Honorable Dayal is now a member of the MSM. Now he's a member of Parliament. Now his position is such that he wields influence because his position has value and they cannot afford any loss. That is the difference. And this is where I asked the Honorable Attorney General, as is been said, The number of votes is not an issue. At the end of the day, posterity will remember that what is written in this document of this Commission of Inquiry and what was the witnesses deposed to, this will never be forgotten. What will also not be forgotten is that the account of Mr. Dayal has been plenished by public funds. That will not be forgotten. Hansard will not forget that as well. But what people will also not forget is that for power and for political supremacy, members have decided to make fun of a very important issue. Fair enough. Let's make fun about it. And if Honorable Sina Tambu believes that he's scoring political points and is making people outside happy, then he's totally disconnected with the reality. Reality is that the majority of this, the great majority of the population do not accept that Honorable Dayal, after the Commission of Inquiry, we cast it aside and he pockets money that belongs to the state and that the Attorney General is his former lawyer. That is the truth. So in conclusion, Madam Speaker, after having listened to the condescending remarks of two honorable members there, I have come to the conclusion that whenever you listen to anyone who has got nothing, no knowledge with regards of what one said, and one is interesting to go to sleep, like Honorable Sorifan, the best thing one should do is not listen to him, and I should not commit the same mistake of listening to him, because he's trying to interrupt me more and more and more and more. I did not interrupt anyone for once, but then he doesn't understand. I guess if he's sleepy, he can just walk out. But then again, this is how important this whole issue. Now he got me going again, let's go. Now this is the attitude of government. This is the attitude of government, represented by Honorable Sorifan, who does not care about the 15 million given to the former Commissioner of Police, because he's only concerned about his sleep, because he's tired, but he doesn't care because the money does not belong to him. That's his problem. The attitude of this government, symbolized by this honorable member. So, Madam Speaker, what is the point of coming to this House and trying to debate when when you try to debate, what is thrown in your face is just condescending comments and insults? So that is the whole point. Where has democracy gone? Where has democracy gone? I'm sorry. And we're going to turn around and listen to the lessons of Honorable Gayan, trying to just now in his speech make reference to Rajobali. And he talks about not going down to the gutter. He talks about not going down to the gutter. I'm sorry, I won't take lessons from Honorable Gayan. He has got other issues to take care of. Go and take care of those issues. It's cold, it's winter time, take care. Madam Speaker, I brought about a very important issue. And it was just not simply to be heard for the fun of being heard. It was simply because sur le principe, should someone be paid money that belongs to the public after all those facts exist against him? But then, in conclusion, I would like to put one question. And this is, I've never managed to find an answer to that. Why is it until today no case was instituted against Mr. Dayal, no police inquiry pertaining to him asking for bribe? How come? Just think about it. No case ever instituted against Raj Dayal, no inquiry whatsoever. And then look at the reaction of the government. But you were there, what did you do? You were there, what did you do? I was the Commissioner of Police, I was the Prime Minister, I was the Minister of Interior, I was everything. For God's sake, grow up. What my question is, why is it? And I'm thinking not here, be blaming 2000 to 2005. I don't know, some people are obsessed with the name Ram Ghulam. I'm not even referring to him here. My issue is, how come
entre 2000 et 2005, entre 2005 et 2010, entre 2010 et 2014, no, there has been no investigation, no case referred to the DPP most probably, and no case, not even a provisional charge, on what is here clear evidence of him having asked for bribes. So this means the rot goes further. And what this Attorney General is doing is using this to have paid him 15 million. And that is the advice that he gave that is, in my humble view, wrong in law, and it should have allowed the court to decide the matter and not him settle the matter. Going before mediation, it was on the request of the state. Coming up with a settlement, it was placing the judge before an agreement. There was no choice but to accept it and make it judgment of the court. So please, let's not blame another judge of the mediation court again. I am of the view that the Attorney General has been wrong with regards to this matter and has been clearly influenced by his political appartenance and has not acted independently as an Attorney General should act. Thank you very much.
The question is that this Assembly has no confidence in Honorable Maneesh Gobin in his capacity as Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Human Rights and Institutional Reforms in